afraid to try.
I'm afraid to try.
You always fail.
It will never work.
It will never work.
You don't have what it takes.
You are going to flunk.
You'll fail
It's
again.
a stupid idea.
You are not capable.
Stupid idea. You don't have what it
You
takes.
always fail.
You won't get the
Don't
job.
even try.
Don't even try.
That's a stupid idea.
Give it up.
First principle, number one, that you need to know. Are you ready? You will fail. Mark it down. James 3:2 said, we will all stumble in many ways. It's going to happen. Unless you're Jesus or you don't leave the couch, you're going to mess up. You're going to miss the mark. You're not going to hit it out of the park every time. It's not going to always work. But that's okay because we screw up. That's part of life, man. That is part of living. When you do fail, listen to me. When you do fail, allow yourself to feel disappointment, but not disapproval. Allow yourself to be bummed out when something doesn't work out that you've dreamed for. It's okay to be disappointed, but don't feel disapproval because, listen, mark this down. Failure is an event. It is never a person. Failure is something that happens, but that's not who you are. You are not a failure. God doesn't call you a failure. God says, listen, you're a conqueror. You can get back up. Listen, long before you ever believed in God, listen to me, He believed in you. God has more faith in you than you have in yourself. Failure, listen, a marriage didn't work out. You're not a failure at marriage. Your marriage didn't work out. You've went bankrupt. You've lost everything. Some people are saying, you're a failure. You're not a failure. You've had a failing event, but you are not a failure because failure is an event. It's never a person. Listen, sometimes God will allow you to fail because through the failure, He can do something through you that He could have never done through you before. And I want to talk about my man Peter in Scripture. And I love Peter because he was just, Peter was the guy that was always telling Jesus, Jesus, I'm your man. Jesus, whatever you need, I got your back. You don't have to worry, Jesus, because I am there for you, man. You can count on me. And listen, when push came to shove at a critical time in Jesus' life, Peter ended up denying Him 3 times. Check it out. What Peter saw as a setback, God saw as a set up for something greater to come. This same Peter that denied Jesus 3 times that everyone thought was a failure, come Pentecost time, when it was time for the New Testament church to begin, Peter was the man standing there, the rock upon which the church was built. The same guy that failed was the rock upon whom the New Testament church was built. That's a pretty good trade-off. I think he did okay. I think he did okay. And he didn't stay in that place of failure. He was ready to move on. Romans 5:3, if we can pull that up, says this: we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. Well, listen, when something goes wrong, you might as well start jumping up and down, man. You might as well get excited. Bible says it's okay. It's going to help you for the next thing that comes up because something else will come up. You got that? Number 1. Number 2, you can overcome. Proverbs 24:16, for though a righteous man falls, how many times? 7 times. He what? He rises again. He falls, but guess what? He gets back up. I love that. It doesn't matter how many times we get knocked down. Listen, it's not about getting down. It's about getting back up. It's about trying again. I can tell you that through this ministry, we are not afraid of failing. In fact, we have many times, but it's not about the failure. It's about the successes that God has planned for us. And I just believe that you continue to look forward. Listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. It is hard to drive looking in the rearview mirror. You can't keep always looking at the stuff that's behind you in your life. You've got to look ahead at the things that God has for you. And just because I love you guys tonight, and I think we need to take a little break, I've got a special song that you're going to remember. Listen, 30 years from now, You're going to remember this night at happy hour, and every time you hear this song, it's going to be like, I remember exactly where I was. Everybody stand up for a minute. This is going to be your theme song from this point on. Errol, if we can rock this out, Stacy, here we go. I get knocked down, but what? I get up again, man. You guys can have a seat. That's right. And for the folks that are older that don't know that tune, here's maybe a little reference. Weebles wobble, but what? They don't fall down. It's for the over 40 crowd here tonight, rocking at happy hour. Listen, let's redefine failure tonight. Failure is the price that I pay on the road to God's success. How about that? Failure is the price that I pay on the road to God's success. 7 years ago, when I decided I was going to do this thing called The Experience, I wanted to tell people about Jesus in a new way, in a non-religious way that people would get it, where it would make a difference in their life, not caring about what the religious community thought, but rather caring about people that needed to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And in doing so, we were not afraid to try anything. In fact, one time, we used to do, and some people might remember this, we used to have this big slingshot that we would take into churches. And what we would do is we would launch T-shirts because we thought that was cool and we could tell people about Jesus through a slingshot, whatever. So anyhow, we've got this big slingshot and we're launching these T-shirts. Well, we had a equipment malfunction. Somebody let go of the slingshot and it goes flying across the room, and it's like I see this whole thing in slow motion. And the slingshot leaves their hand, not only the T-shirt going one way, slingshot going the other way, cracks Marilyn Roberts, our administrative assistant, right in the head, splits her wide open, blood is everywhere, and we've learned through that failure that we're not going to shoot slingshots anymore at happy hours. But it has driven us to do new and better things. Through the failure comes innovation. We try new things. If it doesn't work, we will try something else. But the bottom line is, we're not afraid to take a shot. That event may have failed, but the vision that God put in my heart 7 years ago hasn't changed. So that's why we're here. And listen, people have told me all along, Tim, you don't have a theology degree. Tim, who do you think you are? Tim, you're not prepared. Tim, you're not ready. Listen, if I would have listened to all those people, you would not be listening to me right now. If I'd have listened to everyone that told me that you can't do this, you wouldn't be listening to me here tonight. Don't be afraid to go for it. Do not be afraid. And I tell my team this all the time. They better know this scripture, man. Galatians 6:9. I don't know if we have it up here. Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a great harvest if what? If we do not give up. Don't give up. You keep swinging for the fence. Not afraid, because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and a sound mind.
Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty.